I'm Maayan. I'm the oldest grandchild, for those of you who haven't really met me before. My grandma was a vibrant and outspoken woman. You always knew what she was thinking, and she always did what she wanted. And she always wore colors. It was all about color. Her whole life was color. Until recently, her and my grandpa's kitchen was in blue and yellow and green. You know, that horrible 70s geometric pattern. She kept it up for decades because she loved it. And orange. She really liked orange. And in all the sadness and the grief that we have now, and all the anger that Grandma had during her last years, and all the frustration, it's sometimes hard, especially for me, because I only knew her when she was older, to remember all the love that she had and that she shared. And so I just want to go over some of the things that she loved. She loved to dance. She was very good at it. And it was her biggest passion. And she would even coach us young ones. When I was having trouble, back when I was like 12, I was having trouble with doing pointing my foot when I was taking ballet. And I could never get it right. It was really difficult for me. And she told me, point from your thigh, and turn out from your thighs, turn out from your hips. And so she coached me on dance. And she was always very physical. And even when she was already in music and didn't speak, I asked her, I said, Grandma, do you have any good things for slouching? Because our family slouches. It's a thing, if you haven't noticed. But we all have a tendency to slouch. And I said, Grandma, do you have anything for slouching? And she wasn't speaking at this point, really. She would rarely speak about anything. So she just went, I was like, oh, this thing. She goes, so even when she wasn't speaking, she still taught me, she still loved me, she still coached me, she still helped me. So yeah, she loved to dance. She loved to move. She also loved her husband. She loved my grandpa very much. Even if she showed it in a way that was not really traditional. Like you heard Noora do an imitation of her call, her But she loved him very, very much. Otherwise she wouldn't have stayed with him.
For 62 years.
For 62 years. They met in a fencing class back when they both lived in Detroit, I believe. And they were both at the JCC. And my grandpa said that he would look down from the area where he would be working out. And he would see, because you could see into the rooms where they held the dance classes and the dance workshops. And he said that my grandma was the best one. And that he liked her from when he saw her. And that when their friend was wrangling up a group of people to start a fencing class, he volunteered because he hoped she would be there. She also loved her family. She loved all of us. She loved the extended family. She loved the nuclear family. She loved us very much. And you could tell. And she was a good grandmother. You know, giving the gifts that you really like, but totally are not really something you would use. The silly t-shirts that are a few years too young. Constantly feeding us. They always had a box of and they always had, like, and she always had cherry tomatoes in a bowl for us because she grew them, and she loved her little garden. And she always had lemons. She would send us home with lemons all the time. And she loved hanging out with us kids. She would just spend time with us, and we would paint or draw, and whatever we made, she said it was good. It clearly wasn't. She loved food. Food was a big part of her and my grandpa. They would go out for food a lot. They would go out to dinner constantly. They were just complete gourmands. It didn't matter, like, expensive food, cheap food, Chinese food. Like, they loved it. Dim sum was our family's special brunch food. She loved her pottery. I think it was her way of I think it was equivalent to dance for her. It allowed her to dance in a form that stayed. And she would use these vibrant brush strokes, these vibrant colors in her pottery, and these wide swatches. She made these beautiful, beautiful things. So she loved her pottery, as do most of us, I'm sure. She loved art, and she loved doing crafts. Even after her first stroke, she knitted. And she knitted me and Orly scarves, and I still have one of them. And they're really, really difficult scarves, but yeah, anyway. So she loved crafts. And she always had a sketchbook in front of her, and when she didn't have a sketchbook or a piece of paper or a utility bill in front of her, she would just sketch straight onto the table. And their big kitchen table had numerous sketches and drawings and doodles of all kinds of things. So she always was drawing, always had something going on, some doodle. And she really, that was one of her great hobbies. She also loved jewelry. Jewelry was something that she had a lot of. She had a lot of very vibrant, very beautiful jewelry. Didn't matter what it was made out of. Didn't matter who sold it, where she bought it. She loved jewelry. This is actually one of hers. And I wear it, and I know she's here, and I know she appreciates it. She would always try and give us jewelry. We would play dress up with her, and we'd put on almost all, she had this rack of necklaces in her bedroom. We'd put on all the necklaces. And we had our ears pierced, so she would put earrings in our ears, and we would wear necklaces as tiaras, and we would all get crazy dressed up in this jewelry. And then like, if we were like, ooh, I love this one, and if we came back to it time and time again, she'd be like, you should take it home, bring it back with you, like, keep it. And of course, we never really did because it was her jewelry. And we were like, no, we'll break it.
Or leave it.
And now that I'm an adult, I won't break it. So jewelry was a big part of her style. And when I mean big, I mean big. She also loved music. She loved the weird shit. She loved the modern, crazy stuff that goes so well with contemporary dance. She was very, very into it. And now that I think back, she was one of my earliest exposures to opera. She and my grandpa would occasionally put me to bed. And they would always sing something to me. Sometimes it was a folk song, sometimes it was a lullaby, but one of the songs that they sang to me almost every time was Summertime from Porgy and Bess. And that was my earliest exposure to opera. And they would tell me a story about how they saw this beautiful soprano singing it. I think it was like some concert in the park. And it always stuck with them, and that they always remembered her when they sang it. And so they would sing it to me before I went to bed. And I'd like to sing it for you now. Because it was one of my grandma's favorite songs.